All right, guys, today we are going to be mocking it up in a 12-team Superflex League that is half PPR. And guys, we are going to be showing you what it's like to do a QB first strategy to where, yes, I will be drafting and Johnny will be drafting quarterbacks to show you what it's like in a Superflex 2 QB format. Let's dive in.
All right. Welcome to the show. This is the Frankly Fantasy Football Podcast. We are your hosts, Frankie and Johnny. Welcome, Frankie. You ready to mock, baby?
I'm so ready to mock it up, my man. And John, before we get going, I have to call this out, because the last time that we did a 2 quarterback mock draft here, boy, oh boy, was I getting shit on like, hey, this doesn't make any sense. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. Well, I just want to show the people what they want. Guys, this is an actual real fantasy football trophy with my name on it. Where the fuck is that name at? Right over here. You see that? Right over there, 2022, Frank Laurie. And that was a strategy that I did not draft quarterbacks in any of the first 6 rounds. So with that being said, I want to show you guys what it's like. But John, I had to call that out a little bit because,
You did.
Gotta poke the bear a bit.
You did. Hey, the hashtag fuck Frankie on YouTube. It's been fantastic. Keep doing that. Keep shitting on him. It's wonderful. I love it. It's so great.
Hashtag, actually.
And it's always just you, by the way. Also, do not pull up hashtag fuck Frankie. I guarantee it's not safe for work.
Probably so dirty. Yeah. Not safe for work.
No,
but
don't
it's
do
catchy.
that. It is catchy.
It's
Hashtag
catchy.
fuck. You need a shirt, man. That's what we need.
Fuck
Yeah.
Frankie. That's right.
Let's take this podcast to the next level, baby.
Let's do it, dude. I mean, shit. Why not?
I love you getting brutalized. But guys, I'm going to tell you, it's real. You saw that trophy. There were many, many years of names on that plaque, on that trophy. And we've done a Superflex League for about 10 years. And Frankie and I are notorious for waiting on quarterback. I know with the mock drafts, it's not perfect. People typically draft quarterbacks much more in a real life situation because they freak out. But we do typically wait on quarterbacks. We play that game every year in a Superflex. But we're going to show this week in this mock draft here, we'll draft a couple quarterbacks early so people can see that. I may wait on one. We'll see. I do like taking a quarterback early and then going for my QB2 much, much later. I do like doing that strategy. But let's roll it out here, guys. We're going to be drafting here. Frankie is drafting at the 101. And I will be drafting at the 9 spot. Frankie, you're at the number 1 spot. What are you going to do, my friend?
Guys, this is easy. I'm going to go CMC. I'm just kidding. Relax. I'm going to lock in Josh Allen so everybody gets off my ass, okay?
All right. After you took Josh Allen, we got some quarterbacks off the board here. Okay, we'll get people off your ass, Frankie. They're going to be a lot more kind to you. Josh Allen, then Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill at 3. Christian McCaffrey, Jalen Hurts, CeeDee Lamb in the 6th spot, Lamar Jackson, CJ Stroud. I am on the clock at number 9 here. We look at quarterbacks. You got Anthony Richardson. We got Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray. Let's just peek here. Running backs, Breece Hall, Bijan. I mean, man, come on. It's really tough for me to pass
receiver.
Up on Bijan right now. Jamar Chase, definitely in consideration here. God, man, you guys are going to make me take a quarterback.
No, go with your gut.
Yeah? All right.
Yeah,
well, good.
Go with your gut.
Maybe these guys can give me shit now on YouTube instead of you. Yeah. Now, I'm sorry. I can't let Jamar Chase go this far, even with all the quarterbacks. I'm taking Jamar Chase here, baby.
Love it.
All right. After Jamar Chase, then Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Breece Hall, Anthony Richardson, Bijan. How about Bijan going in the 2nd round? Crazy. Joe Burrow, and I'm back on how about Joe Burrow goes right in front of me? Oh, unfortunate there. That would have been a beautiful stack.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful stack. All right, well, I am going to jump on a quarterback then, since it is dwindling down pretty quickly here. Or should I say dawdling down, Frankie?
Ooh, I like that.
Okay. I'm going to go with Dak Prescott here. definitely the best quarterback available. We got a Stacks episode coming up, actually. That'll talk about what Dak has been able to do as a fantasy quarterback and in a Superflex 2-quarterback league. Love having Dak there. All right, then A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua, Jahmyr Gibbs, Marvin Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson, Sam Laporta, Saquon Barkley. And Frankie, you are on the turn here for your second-round pick with Josh Allen. What are you going to do?
John, I'm actually going to go back to the well at quarterback here because there actually is somebody that's really interesting, and it's Kyler Murray. I'm going to lock in that of Kyler Murray to solidify my 2 QB approach. And then knowing that I have another opportunity to go right away, I'm going to look at either running back or receiver. John, there's absolutely a running back on the board that I just won't let go. It's Jonathan Taylor. If you can get Jonathan Taylor here in the 3rd round, love that, man. So now I'm rocking with JT.
It's a good combo you got there. Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, and Jonathan Taylor. Love it. All right, then Kyron Williams, Travis Etienne, Jordan Love, Travis Kelce, Brock Purdy, Chris Olave, and Drake London. Isn't it weird seeing Brock Purdy in the 3rd round of a fantasy football draft? It is really strange, man. Well, we'll take a look at quarterbacks here because it is a Superflex league. We got Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa, Caleb Williams, Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, Jaden Daniels, Matt Stafford. There's a lot of quarterbacks on here. I am going to take a little chance. I'm going to let these quarterbacks go through and see if I can pick one up in round 4. You're playing that game, and it is a risk, but it's a risk I'm willing to take. Running backs, you got Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Devon Achane, Pacheco. Receivers, Devontae Adams, Brandon Ayuk, Mike Evans, Michael Pittman Jr. Just peek at tight end. A little early for tight end for those guys. I do want a workhorse running back. Those guys do dwindle down very quickly. I love that word, Frankie. I'm going to go with Derrick Henry here. I'm going to go with King Henry. I want a workhorse back. I want a guy who's going to be getting in the end zone quite a bit here. With the 2-quarterback league, it Superflex, it gets a little iffy looking for running backs and receivers sometimes. So I want to make sure I've got somebody locked down I feel good about. All right, then Trey McBride, Brandon Ayuk, Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, Justin Herbert, and Rachaad White. I'm back on the clock. All right, I've got Dak Prescott, I've got Jamar Chase, and I've got Derrick Henry. Let's go back to those quarterbacks and take a look here. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take Tua Tagovailoa. Looking at Tua, looking at Caleb Williams, Jared Goff. You know, Tua's just, yes, I love the opportunity for Caleb Williams. I do like him a lot. But with Tua, he's a known factor. You know what you're going to get. Yeah. You've got Tyreek Hill. We talk about in the episode coming out next week, we're going to talk about that stack. And the numbers are pretty insane there. So I'm going to lock in Tua Tagovailoa here and just know I've got good, safe quarterbacks for me on my team. All right, then Devon Achane, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Pacheco, Josh Jacobs, Jalen Waddle, Caleb Williams goes there in front of you, and then Stephon Diggs. And Frankie, you're on the clock. All right, you've got your quarterbacks. Now you can get everybody in the YouTube world, a couple thousand people watching that last episode, giving you shit. Now what are you going to do?
Yeah, so guys, I started off with Josh Allen, went Kyler Murray, was able to anchor my running backs with Jonathan Taylor. I'm going to pause on running backs at this point in time. I could go I could go Cook, I could go Kenneth Walker Jr., I could go Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon. All of those are really sexy, but I definitely know there's going to be a receiver drop off here soon. So I really want to peak receiver. And it's Michael Pittman Jr., Nico Collins, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp. Ooh, guys, there's 2 guys here that I'm taking. I'm going to go receiver. I'm going to lock in MPJ as a nice floor. You guys will hear would you rather next week, John, that we really hit on Michael Pittman Jr. and one other guy. Don't want to give it away, but I love Michael Pittman Jr. I think there's a lot of upside in half PPR and PPR. And John, for this next guy, I'm actually going to go with DJ Moore. I really think that DJ Moore is one of those guys that Caleb Williams is going to find early and often. If something happens to Keenan Allen, DJ Moore skyrockets even further. And I like the safer play knowing that I have the ceiling play with my quarterback. So I'm locking in DJ Moore as my receiver too.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what DJ Moore becomes this year because I think he does take another step forward for sure. All right, then Nico Collins, James Cook, Cooper Kupp, Malik Neighbors, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, and Devonta Smith. I am back on the clock here. Really balanced team. I've got a stud receiver, a stud running back, and my 2 quarterbacks. So I'm looking at best available running back, receiver at this point. Nothing yet for tight end. Still too early for me. I want to load up on some more talent. Receivers are difficult for me. Amari Cooper, Zay Flowers, George Pickens. George Pickens, I love him this year. He would be my pick, but I'm nervous because Brandon Ayuk going to that team, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, very soon as the decision's made. Brandon Ayuk goes to the Steelers. That changes Pickens completely changes him. So I am going to stay away from him until we know what's going on there. Running backs, Kenneth Walker, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones. I'm going to go with an upside play here, man. I usually don't draft this guy, and I want to do it because I love the upside. Normally, I would take Joe Mixon here because I think it's a much safer floor, much more established back. But Kenneth Walker, the third, KW3, he's got so much upside, man. I mean, this is a dude, breaks out 50-yard touchdowns all of the time. So I'm going to go with the upside here. I'm just going to know he is a little more injury prone. He's a running back at that. They get injured all the time. I'm going to make sure to really get some good depth behind those two backs I've got. Okay, this comes right back around to me here. Then Zay Flowers, Evan Ingram, Dalton Kincaid, Alvin Kamara, George Pickens, T. Higgins. I'm back on the clock. Joe Mixon did fall back to me. I mean, that is somebody I could look at, but it is a little early for that. I do need more receiver help. There is a true number one. We're starting to get into slot guys in the receivers here with Tank Dell, Christian Kirk, Keenan Allen, some guys that are not on great offenses right now, Terry McLaurin, Jaden Reed. So I'm looking at Amari Cooper. He is the one. He is the alpha.
Love that.
It's all about Deshaun Watson. We talk about it all the time. I'm going to get Amari Cooper in there to go with Jamar Chase. Okay, then Joe Mixon, Jared Goff, Kyle Pitts, Tank Dell, George Kittle, Keenan Allen, Aaron Jones. Frankie, you're right back on the clock.
Yeah, so guys, what I'm looking at, again, I have Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, JT, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr., DJ Moore, and I'm sitting at the last pick in the 6th round. So I'm really open. I could go running back here, could certainly, if I wanted to, take a QB3 and really piss off a lot of people, but use that as trade bait, or I could certainly even go receiver here, and I have back-to-back picks. So if you're ever looking at 1st or 12th or 10th or whatever sized league you're in, maybe 8 if you're in an 8-man league, you have to hit on these turns here because that's going to be the differentiator in terms of those that have the middle round picks. So for me, man, looking at running back, I could go DeAndre Swift, I could go Ramondre Stevenson, Najee Harris, so on and so forth. Not really in love with any of those guys at this point in time. I think I can even wait a minute. But going at receiver here, it's kind of interesting. I could go Christian Kirk, could go Terry McLaurin, Jaden Reed, Godwin. I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to go for this particular pick. I'm going to go Terry McLaurin. The reason being, John, for me here is having a receiver 1 on the Commanders, right? He's the number 1 receiver there as my personal receiver 3 or my flex. I love it. I think that there's a lot of trade value there. I think there's a lot of upside for Terry McLaurin being your receiver 3 on your team. So I love this decision. Now going back, this is where it gets tough because do I make a reach for one of these running backs knowing probably most of them will still be there or at least a few of them? Do I go quarterback here, John, and try to do something crazy? I'll tell you what, I'm nervous that this guy won't be here and I'm going to massively reach. And it's just because of the way I'm putting my team together and I know I'm going to be active. I'm going to go Nick Chubb. I'm nervous he's not going to be there when I come back. I know that if he ends up even remotely being 75% of what he was, I have a bona fide number 2 already paired with that of Jonathan Taylor, and I'm getting him in the 7th round. So for me, man, I'm locking in Nick Chubby, and I have a Chubby, and I'm watching this draft go by.
You got to reach for Chubb. Everybody who knows that. If you see a Chubb, you got to reach for it. I mean, that's just what you do.
That's the way the world is.
It's the best advice I can possibly give. Yes. All right, I'm going to look at the big drop off in receiver. I've got a couple decent ones here. I was just talking. My running backs could be a little, makes me nervous of injury, so I wanted to get an extra one here. What's funny is I'm drafting another guy who's definitely got some injury issues, but I love him this year. It's James Conner. I love James Conner. I just love the opportunity and the volume. When he is healthy, he produces and performs. It's my running back 3, so I'm not that concerned about it. I'll play matchups between Kenneth Walker, James Conner, and Derrick Henry. All right, then Matt Stafford, Kirk Cousins, Hollywood Brown, Aaron Rodgers, Najee Harris, and Zamir White. I'm back on the clock. Actually, Frank, I'm sad that Jaden Daniels didn't come back down to me in that James Conner pick. I would have taken Jaden Daniels there. To have him as my quarterback 3, fuck one of the other team. Couple of guys still didn't have quarterbacks. And I love the upside of Jaden Daniels. In a super flex, I do want Jaden Daniels as my super flex. I really, really do. Yeah. Back on the clock here. Running backs, Jonathan Brooks, Tony Pollard, Mostert. I do like Mostert in that spot. Jaden Reed, Chris Godwin, Roma Dunze, Calvin Ridley. Getting into some rookie territory, too, with Worthy and McConkey. I'm going to get a little silly, man. I'm going to go running back heavy in this draft. I'm going to take Jonathan Brooks. And the reason I'm doing that is because I can. Because I've got 3 running backs already. Jonathan Brooks, we know, is probably not starting early in the season. It's going to take him a little while. He's a back half running back. But the opportunity absolutely is there, and the talent is sure as hell there. So if you can get him as your 3rd or 4th running back, I like that. So I'm going to try it out there. All right, then Brock Bowers, Raheem Mostert, Baker Mayfield, Tony Pollard, Zach Moss, Deshaun Watson, David Njoku. Frankie, it is your pick on the turn and the last pick of the 8th round.
John, I'm pretty open at this point in time, guys. Last pick of the 8th round just went Nick Chubb there. But I definitely need to go running back, right? Because Nick Chubb might not be healthy. Let's just say for the first 3 games. At worst comes to worst. So I definitely need another running back and certainly could go quarterback or continue to bolster the receiver room with that 2nd pick. So for me, man, I'm pretty open. I could go Jaylen Warren. I could go Javonte Williams, Austin Eckler. If I'm looking at receiver, Jaden Reed, Chris Godwin. You could do Calvin Ridley, or I could certainly go quarterback here. You know what? I'm actually going to wait on quarterback just in case. And I'm going to actually go Austin Eckler, John, because I like him just because of the upside potential with what he brings to that Commanders team. Again, if they're behind, he's going to be the PPR monster. So I really, really like that, as well as from a receiver perspective. I want a piece of this guy. We've seen reports DeAndre Hopkins has gone down. I think that Calvin Ridley is going to be the guy for that Titans offense. So why not continue to bolster that receiver room and add the number 1 receiver on the Titans?
Right after that went the quarterback, Will Levis, then Roma Dunze, Turd Ferguson, Jaden Reed, Chris Godwin, Dallas Goedert, Geno Smith, and I am on the clock. Yeah, I can really, just taking a quick look at my team. This is the 9th round. We're cruising right through. Jamar Chase, Amari Cooper as my receivers, Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa as quarterbacks, Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker, and James Conner, and Jonathan Brooks as my running backs. So I've got a really nice stable of running backs. I need more wide receiver help. There's no doubt about that. Wide receivers I'm looking at right now, there's some exciting guys, and I do like this. We've got Xavier Worthy. We've got Ladd McConkey, Jordan Addison, Deontay Johnson. Love his opportunity.
Love that.
This one really... For me, I've got 2 guys on here that are pretty safe and will perform with Jamar Chase and Amari Cooper. I'd like to take some upside here. I want to take some guys I don't know. Deontay Johnson, I do love. I think he's a safe floor guy. But the way my team's constructed, I've got a pretty good floor here. I want some upside. So I want to be looking at one of these rookies here. And I think it's going to be Xavier Worthy, man. I mean, you want to talk about upside? That's all that guy is right now, is fucking upside. So I'm going to take upside with Xavier Worthy, see if he can be a speed demon and maybe give us a glimpse maybe of Tyreek and Patrick Mahomes back in the day, Okay. Right after that, Keon Coleman went. I was looking at him as well. Then Ladd McConkey. That's the receiver corner right here, guys. Then we had Deontay Johnson, Jaylen Warren, TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Hopkins, and I am back on the clock here. Receivers, Jordan Addison, JSN, Christian Watson, Brian Thomas. I do like that receiver as well, rookie out of Jacksonville. Running backs, Javonte Williams, Devin Singletary, Tajee Spears, Gus Edwards. A lot of guys on there still that I like. Quarterbacks, in case I want to get a 3rd one here, Bryce Young, Derek Carr, Drake May, Russell Wilson. They're thinning, to say the least, Frank. They're thinning out quickly. Yes. I'm actually going to go with another rookie here. There's a guy that I like. I think he's got a great opportunity. He's been just absolutely shining in camp. I'm going to go with Brian Thomas Jr. of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's been amazing.
Okay, then we had Javonte Williams, Devin Singletary, Jordan Addison, Christian Watson, Tajay Spears, Dalton Schultz, Gus Edwards, Frankie, 10th round. You're on the clock on the turn.
Yeah, John. So I'm going to definitely go running back here because, again, I'm sitting at 10th round, last pick in the 10th round. I have Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler. Jonathan Taylor is my anchor here. Nick Chubb is certainly wonderful upside, but just in case with the injury bug there, you got to be a little bit nervous. And then Austin Eckler, right? He's in a 2-back tandem. So for me, I want to continue to bolster this running back room. And there's definitely a guy on here, and it's going to be Zeke. I think Zeke is going to be the main carrier for that of the Cowboys, even over Rico Dowdle and even over that of Deuce Vaughn. So for me, man, I really like where I can get Zeke in the 10th round. Now, looking back up, John, I'm not even looking anywhere else, even though, yes, I need a tight end. I'm going quarterback here because now, even though I have my 2 quarterbacks, I want that third as a rotating piece for bye week and trade bait in case somebody gets injured. So I'm looking at Bryce Young, who was atrocious last year, but is only going to get better with the weapons that they have around him. I could go Derek Carr, which that's kind of interesting. That's kind of where I'm leaning, if I'm being honest with you. Drake May, Russell Wilson, Danny Dimes, Bo Nix, Justin Fields. Justin Fields is super interesting, but if I'm looking to actually have a viable piece, John, for me, it's pretty easy. I'm going to go Derek Carr.
All right, then Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jameson Williams, Brian Robinson, Pat Freiermuth, Cortland Sutton, Trey Benson, Cole Kmet. I am on the clock. I do need a tight end as well. We've got, 2 picks left here. I need a tight end as well and another backup piece, which could be a quarterback. Looking at quarterbacks, Bryce Young, Drake May, Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, Gardner Minshew. All right. Tight ends. Yeah, I'm going to take my tight end here. It's going to be Luke Musgrave. Yeah. I just really like the upside of this guy. What we saw with him before he got injured was, just an absolute great safety blanket for Jordan Love. And I think they had a really good connection. So I think getting him this late, I like that. I'm going to be streaming potentially anyway, but why not grab a guy that you maybe don't have to stream? All right, then Tyler Lockett, Jacoby Myers, Romeo Doubs, Leggett, Chase Brown, and Blake Corum, running back for the Rams. Love that pick. I'm back on the clock here, and 2 picks left. Okay, so let's take a look here. I'm going to look at quarterbacks. I do want to get a backup quarterback. You don't want to be screwed in a super flex or 2 quarterback league and not have 3. Let me see here. I'm going to take a chance here, actually, and I'm going to go with Justin Fields as a backup quarterback. He may end up getting the job at this point with Russell Wilson a little bit banged up. So let's take a chance on that one. All right, then Zach Charbonnet, Jerome Ford, Chuba Hubbard, Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer, Khalil Shakir, and Josh Downs. Frankie, these are your final 2 picks in the 12th and 13th round. What do you got, brother?
Yeah, man. So I need a tight end here. So I'm going to lock in a tight end. I'm going to go with Cade Otton out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, he's going to be in a more versatile role this year. I think Baker really likes to target him, especially in the red zone, in addition to that of Mike Evans. So I think that I'm going to be playing the tight end game anyways. Why not have a guy that's already been having some synergy with his quarterback? Now for my last pick, John, I this is tough because I kind of, as crazy as it sounds, I kind of want to go another quarterback just to be an asshole. And this is literally, guys, how I would draft. Like, I'm not just doing this for the mock. Johnny, you know this. There have been occasions where I have taken 4 quarterbacks and have just sat on them and just wait until an injury occurs or something like that to where I know I can get a lot of value from them, because in a super flex league or a 2 quarterback league, guys, this is where you can get a very good piece for a very average quarterback. But I'm not going to actually do that for this perspective. There is one guy on here that really is standing out, and it is another running back. I could go running back. I could go receiver, right? From a receiver perspective, it's Mike Williams, Shaheed, Jerry Jeudy, AD, all of those, AD Mitchell, all of those are actually kind of interesting. But there's one running back that has super high upside in case he stays healthy. That's J.K. Dobbins. I'm locking in J.K. Dobbins just in case, John, just in case He ends up staying healthy, looks really good in that Greg Roman offense. Again, he's the head coach there. We all know his Harbaugh, who is a run-first dominant individual. That is why I want a little piece of that of J.K. Dobbins.
All right, then Mike Williams, Jahan Dotson, Jerry Jeudy, Kendre Miller, Taysom Hill, Gabe Davis, Dontavian Wicks, and I am on the clock with my last pick here. This is going to be a pick, Frankie, because this backfield is not decided yet. I see this running back here, and it's going to be Rico Dowdle. I know you took Zeke. I know you like Zeke this year. Right now, Rico Dowdle is the starter. He is the one. So we'll see how that ends up going down. But I also don't see Zeke having a huge workload. So, hey, this is my last pick. It's a flyer.
Why not?
Maybe Rico Dowdle becomes the number one running back on a very good Dallas Cowboys offense. Maybe he doesn't. If he doesn't, he's not getting the targets, or he's not getting the attempts, then I can drop his ass. So I'm going to go Rico Dowdle here. Then Ben Sennett, Rashid Shaheed, and Lloyd to round us out. All right, Frank, let's take a look at this. And let's look at your team first here, man. Break down, how did it go? This isn't normally how you draft, but you wanted to show everybody that this is what it looks like when you go hot and heavy in your first two picks at quarterback. Number one overall, taking quarterback. How did it work out for you? How do you feel about it?
John, I'm actually surprised with this draft. I thought it was going to be miserable, if I'm being honest, because to your point, man, I promise you, if I have one overall in a 2-quarterback league, I'm not going quarterback. I'm just not. I'm going to go CMC. But I wanted to show what this looks like, and I'm actually very happily surprised with this. Anchoring with the 2 quarterbacks with Josh Allen and that of Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray does make me a little bit nervous. I'll be 100% honest, but that's why I got a 3rd quarterback with a very high floor. Meaning 15, 16 points on average for a game. I'm fine with that, knowing that I have Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, DJ Moore, and Terry McLaurin. Those 3 receivers make me warm and cozy because all 3 are receiver ones on their respective teams. So even if in fantasy they're looked at as a receiver 2 and I have a conglomerate of literally 3 receiver 2s, I'm okay with that because of the ceiling play of my quarterbacks. And then, John, to be able to take a reach there on Nick Chubb, I'm gonna be honest, guys. Anytime that I'm seeing Nick Chubb there and I'm drafting early in the front end or late in the back end and I have to reach for him, I'm doing it 100 out of 100 times. Because if you can get a round 1 or 2 running back, what Nick Chubb would be if healthy, John, and you can get him in the 7th round, 8th round, that's absurd. You absolutely take that. So that makes me really happy knowing that my 2 running backs then could be locked up. And then to add a little bit more depth with Eckler, Elliott, and J.K. Dobbins, I'm okay with that running back situation. The receivers, I'm a little bit light. I only drafted 4, right? And I know it's a 2 receiver, 1 flex kind of league, but my 4 receivers as a whole, I'm okay with. Maybe I'll end up, dropping one of those running backs and then end up going and picking up an additional receiver because there's still quite a few left on the board, like Adonai Mitchell, Brandon Cooks, Quentin Johnston, Ricky Pearsall, Jalen Polk. There's a bunch of guys that you can take flyers on that could end up working out or could not. So I'm okay with the way I drafted from the receiver perspective. But overall, man, this was fun. Guys, I got to appreciate you giving me shit because typically this is not how I would draft. And I got to be honest, man, this was a really fun way to draft this. So I'm not entirely pissed off about it.
Yeah, I think the thing, and you're right, we never draft like this. This
No.
is not how we do it typically, but we wanted to see how it does work out. I don't hate it. I don't hate it because your quarterbacks are such high flyers. I mean, Josh Allen obviously is going to score so many points. It's going to make up for a lot there. But I think where maybe things would look better for me, what I would like better in this team, because I do love you do have a lot of wide receiver 2s, and I love that, and that's great. They're all going to be there. They're going to score. Your running back situation terrifies me. It's absolutely terrifying. Yeah, because Nick Chubb, I mean, shit, it could be week 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
We're not sure. We don't know. I have not heard very many reports other than that he's progressing. So that leaves you starting either Austin Eckler or Zeke or J.K. Dobbins. That's fucking terrifying to me. That is not a way that you and I typically come out of a draft.
No.
going, I don't even know who I'm starting in week 1. So I think maybe even if you wanted to take Josh Allen number 1 overall,
I
and
would go
then
Saquon there.
I would have waited. I would have waited on the second
Yeah.
quarterback, and I would have locked in a running back at that point. That'd make you feel a lot better about your team for sure.
Yeah, John, looking back, guys, if I were to actually draft this, let's just say take away CMC on the first pick. Let's just say I do stick with Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, whoever, plug that in as your number 1 quarterback. Round 2, I'm going to go Saquon there. For me, in a real draft, I would 100% go that. And then if I ended up getting still JT in the third, now think about that. That's a completely different team with Josh Allen, Saquon, JT, Michael Pittman, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin. That is super sexy. And then I would just replace Nick Chubb with that of one of those quarterbacks there, John. And I'm looking at this from who I could have gotten instead of Nick Chubb. I could have gotten Jaden Daniels. Love that, because then I have a stack with Terry McLaurin. I could have gone there with Trevor Lawrence, Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins. I love those guys for later picks. So realistically, again, that's what I would have done. But I wanted to show what it's like to go QB at the first overall pick. Number 1, because I was, you guys wanted to see it. And number 2, it's kind of interesting, kind of fun. But to your point, man, exactly. I think that this type of draft strategy leaves me really sketched out at the running back position.
Yeah. Yep. I'm with you on that, man. Okay. Let's take a look at my team here and see how this went down. Loved getting the receivers. I feel pretty good about. Yeah. I mean, with Jamar Chase and Amari Cooper,
Love
some
that.
upside with Xavier Worthy and Brian Thomas. I'm a little light on receiver, but I like what I have. There's nothing that scares me, and I've got some good options there. The quarterbacks, yeah, I like the quarterbacks. It's just solid. It's solid with upside with Dak Prescott and Tua Tagovailoa. Again, it's rough getting those guys. Those are guys that I would typically have as my stacks. It's just you used to be able to draft them so much lower. you know? But the running backs here is where I got a little interesting, and I like what I did here with having Derrick Henry and Kenneth Walker. Getting 3 down backs is really what I was trying to go for. And James Conner as well. But then coming back around and getting that little lottery ticket for later in the season with Jonathan Brooks. I will only draft Jonathan Brooks if I know I've got 3 really solid running backs that I know I can wait on him. Maybe I can trade before he even comes out, or he comes out, balls out. I can trade one of the other guys if they, stay healthy. So I love that. Luke Musgrave at tight end, picking up a backup with Justin Fields as well and Rico Dowdle. But yeah, I like the team. I don't dislike it. I was very tempted to not go quarterback, but I tried to stay disciplined and didn't want everybody to freak out and say, oh, you can't draft like that. Yeah, normally I do, but I don't mind the team. I don't hate it. I don't think there's any, glaring weak spots for me. It's not as deep of a team that I would want to have. I would much rather take quarterbacks in the 5th, 6th, 7th rounds. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it, Frank.
John, to your point, man, like I appreciate that you did this. You stayed course. You were consistent with what you wanted to do. Love that. But I do know how you normally draft, and what would be if you guys take a step back. This is why you can wait on quarterback a tad. You don't have to freak out, because what, John, would your team have been if you would have went Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, Derrick Henry, then you get your first quarterback. So then you lock in, let's just say it is Tua. But then instead of having to go Kenneth Walker there because you already ended up, or maybe you don't want to go Kenneth Walker there, and you can get that of one of the other quarterbacks like a Jared Goff, John, or somebody like that. They're Jaden Daniels. So that's why, guys, like, you don't have to panic when quarterbacks start flying off the board. Tread water, because you can get these other assets that are such like high value that are being undervalued because the quarterback position is so much more valuable in these 2 QB Superflex leagues. So, John, I love that you showed this. However, I know in a normal draft, you're not going to take Dak Prescott there. I just know you're going to go, you're going to go AJ Brown. You're going to go, maybe Jahmyr Gibbs or Saquon Barkley or somebody like that. And then it gives you more flexibility within the quarterback position. So I love that you still showed it, but definitely want to make that call out that, again, be patient. It's okay. If people start going crazy on quarterbacks, let them, because they're going to be shitting themselves on the back end trying to get a superstar running back or receiver.
Love it, man. Hey, that's the draft, guys. Hope we helped you out. I hope we gave you some food for thought, at least. I know your drafts are coming and you're all sitting on the toilet doing mock drafts, getting ready for it as we speak. Yeah. So hopefully we gave you something there, guys, especially with the 2 QB and a Superflex leagues. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, come in next week. Frankie, what do we got?
We got the stack attack. We're diving into some news and notes. We're going to do a would you rather between, I mentioned it, Michael Pittman Jr. I'm not going to give the other guy away, but I'll give you a clue. He may or may not be in Johnny's boy band. Whoa, so be tuning in for that. Yeah. And then, as I mentioned, the stack attacks, we're breaking down the top 5 stacks based on value. You will not want to miss that episode.
Thank you so much. We know you guys all listen. We see all the stats. Please also watch on YouTube. The YouTube channel is growing. We've got films and different stat charts and things we're putting up. Mock drafts. You got to watch mock drafts on YouTube. I mean, come on. You got to watch the video. All right, Frankie, may the fantasy gods smile upon you. Bye.